In the aftermath of England's gritty but strong performance against Argentina, I'm going to be giving each individual player a score out of 10, as well as deciding from each team who was the best player and then an overall man of the match. As you can probably tell, I'm fresh off of watching the Argentina game. I've still got my nervous sweats. I've just about calmed down and ready to give my opinions. Now, look, when I do give these scores, you can't really compare them amongst other nations that I've given scores to. For example, a 7 for Joe Marchant and a 7 for Gary Ringrose doesn't mean that they're the same ability of player. It's just how I think they performed on the day in respect to how good they can be. Just thought I'd clear that up just before I get comparisons being drawn. As always, before I get into the video, please do share your thoughts on each individual player's performance in the comment section down below. Let me know who you thought did well and who you potentially think could have done a little bit better. And as always, I'll get back to every single comment. Now I'm going to start off in the English front row. Some strong performances up front in what was a mixed scrum time, but I'd say England just about edged it. I'm giving Ellis Genge an 8, I'm giving Jamie George an 8, and I'm giving Dan Cole a 7. Now, scrum time, mixed, but overall I felt England did get the upper hand. As I say, they were down to 14 men, so they had to fully load that scrum. So a lot of the time they were scrummaging with actually Joe Marchant on the flank. So, all things being considered, I thought he did well. The reason Dan Cole drops to a 7 is just because around the park he's just not as active as Genge or Jamie George. So he drops down to a 7 for me. Moving into the second rows, I'm giving Itoje an 8 and Ollie Chesham a 7.5. Both of them did well. I mean, the line out wasn't completely secure, but I'd say this is the best I've seen Itoje play in probably a couple of years now. Over the ball, he was really good. He nabbed a couple turnovers, and I thought it was impressive. Chesham did some good work at the line out. In the first 20 minutes, he put in a real good carry, which really impressed me, and just sort of gave me the belief that England were up for the game. Laws is going to get the highest mark so far, 8.5. Now, I said Itoje got over the ball. Courtney Laws got over the ball properly, and he got sort of 2-3 penalties from it, which really enabled England to put some scoreboard pressure on Argentina, and yeah, he really impressed me. Now, Tom Curry, this disappoints me because I didn't really think this was a red card from Tom Curry. I thought it was a yellow, but I can see it being given as a red. Look, I have to give him sort of a 3, considering he didn't really do much before he went off because he couldn't. It was only a couple minutes in. And look, if you're getting red carded, then you can't expect a good result. Benel, I'm going to give a 7.5. I thought Els was good. Once again, busy around the park. Maybe you could have given him an 8. The only reason I drop it down to 7.5 is I got a little bit frustrated with him kicking the ball away in good attacking positions. He would never usually do that for Saracens, and I hear Steve Borthwick say, look, all we want the players to be is themselves. So I wish he just kept the ball in hand and showed us what Benel can do, but hey, sometimes it happens. Into the backs, Alex Mitchell, I'm going to give a 7, and I'm going to give George Ford a 9.5. Now, look, Alex Mitchell was brought in, and he's actually my favourite scrum half of them all. I just feel the reason he's not got a proper top end mark, 7's still good, it's solid by the way. He started off a little bit shaky with the box kicks. One of them just sort of scuttled off at the outside of the boot into touch. I think that was his first one. And then I did feel like he kicked the ball away once again a little bit too much. When England were on the attacking 10 metre line, he put a box kick up multiple times, which Boffelli or any of the back three could simply catch and call the mark, which I just thought was a real pressure reliever. Now, George Ford, where do we start? Look, 27 points were scored by England. 27 points were scored from the boot of George Ford. We have George Ford to thank for this victory, I think. I mean, it's never a one-man effort, but George Ford certainly was the best player on the pitch for England. Drop goals from the 50 metres out, just sort of those. I'm not saying George Ford is a world-class player because I don't think he's in the bracket of your Mwangas, Sextons, Farrells. Sorry, not Farrells. Finn Russells. But look, the drop goal element is probably the best I've seen of any current player. Look, 3 drop goals, 2 from about, 1 from probably inside the 22, 1 probably about 10 metre, and then 1 from 50 metres. Phenomenal, and gave England a real point of difference. Still kicked the ball away a little bit too much for my liking, but look, that's Test match rugby for you. Centres, I'm going to give Tuolangi an 8 and Joe Marchant a 7. Tuolangi really inspired England with some good good defensive passages. Really turned an Argentinian attacker's ribcage into mincemeat. Look, those are the sort of interventions in the match which, I saw Tuolangi putting that big hit. The whole pack rose to their feet. They all wanted to get involved. They all upped their energy, and it's those sort of things which England are going to have to really sort of grab a hold of and bottle up, because we don't have an awful lot going for us in attack. I mean, the reason these probably scores are a bit inflated because they only really defended in the match. I mean, Tuolangi did a couple busts through the middle, but nothing too dangerous. So maybe these scores could be reduced slightly. And then Marcin, once again, I thought he had a good game, but defensively was very good, was much better this time. But there's literally zero attacking threat from both of them. So, well, maybe the scores are a little bit inflated. So maybe you could take them down a little bit. Elliot Daly, I'm going to give a 6 now. Look, I really like Elliot Daly. He had 2 kicks at goal from a little bit far out, so I can understand him not getting them. Both of them got sliced towards the left. I just felt in play, he didn't look dangerous as a winger, and he did some good kick chase and a few decent kicks, but I didn't really see him get involved. I really like Daly as a player. I think he's one of Saracen's best players, but I don't really feel like tonight was his night. Maybe you could up that to a 6.5. So a solid 6.5 sort of indicates solid, decent average performance. Johnny May on the other wing, I'm going to also give a 6.5. These two wingers, they did a lot of kick chasing, but neither of them did anything massively. They didn't really come off their wings too much. Both of them ran the ball out of play once, I believe. So, look, average display from the wingers. And then I'm going to finish it off with a 7.5. Actually, no, I'm going to give him Freddie Stewart an 8. He did what he needed to do. He's brilliant in the air, and he brought that again today. And look, I think he had a real poor performance last time out against Fiji, and that really could have knocked his confidence. So he turned up in this game for sure. Now, once again, I'm just going to reiterate that, just because some of these scores may be higher than the scores in which I'd give Ireland beating Romania, for example, doesn't mean that I think England would beat Ireland. It's all subjective to the team's performance. In terms of Los Pumas, look, I don't know the team inside out, but I'm just going to give a couple thoughts on some of their performers. I thought their front row did struggle, especially at scrum time, and a lot of knock-ons from the props, which is disappointing. Second row is Lavanini, caused some issues at line-out time for England, so fair play to him, but they never really dominated in terms of their line-out drive, so there you go for that one. The back row for Los Pumas was good. I thought Matera was probably one of the better players. Kremer and Gonzalez, powerful back row, that's for sure, but they never really neutralised England's threats, and they never really dominated in any major way. But Treneau played a big role in the game, a lot of kicking from him, but he never really sparked the Argentinian attack together. Carreras got yellow carded, which could have been upgraded. I think it was a yellow card. I think pushing it to a red was a little bit, could have been a little bit severe. But then again, I do think the same of Tom Curry. But I will say this as an England supporter: the Tom Curry was closer to a red card than this one was from Carreras. In terms of the centres, look, they did what they could with limited ball. Lucio Cinti of London Irish, I thought, was the more dangerous of the two. But once again, none of them really gave an impression on the game. In terms of the back three, Mateo Carreras was always a threat. But he did have one opportunity to really go for it, but he just kicked it out on the full. And look, England were vulnerable to a counter-attack, so he would have wanted to do better there. Boffelli kicked the 3 points for Argentina in the match. Look, he did what he could. He was relatively okay under the high ball, despite dropping a few of them. And Malia, he did what he could at fullback. He was under a lot of aerial pressure from Freddie Stewart. Sometimes it went okay, sometimes it didn't. A bit of a mixed bag and all. So just to conclude, from England, my man of the match is George Ford. Really, I mean, look, he's not going to get a lot of the headlines, but Courtney Laws really deserves a lot of plaudits for the way he played. But I'm going to give my England man of the match to George Ford. And then on the Los Pumas side, it's very difficult considering not an awful lot went well. I'm going to have to give it to Lavanini simply because he made some positive interventions in the line-out, really disrupted English ball and made some good carries in attack. So look, the overall man of the match obviously goes to George Ford. Absolutely incredible, magnificent display from him. And look, he scored every single English point, so he deserves man of the match. once again, let me know what you think of my scores in the comments. Just quickly, I'm thinking about when England hopefully progress from the pools, considering they've beaten Argentina, doing a live watch along. Do let me know in the comments if you'd attend that, and if there's enough people that want to watch a sort of a live reaction to the game, and look, maybe I'll do a little bit of commentary for it or whatever from this room here, then I'll do that. If not, no worries, and I'll just do the reactions. But something I'd quite like to do, so do let me know if you'd be interested in that in the comments. And yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching, and please do leave your thoughts in the comments.